Hey everyone, so we're continuing with the prep and ceramic coating of the Hellcat Red Eye. In my previous video, I did a reset wash, so I explained more about that and all of the steps that I did. Now in today's video, we're in phase 2. So we're going to go through the thorough detailing, which involves clay bar, polishing, and then we're going to finish off with the ceramic coating. I know that this is going to take a long time, not only because you have to take your time, you have to be precise, you have to be very thorough, but because the Hellcat Red Eye is already a large car to begin with. But before we get started, let me show you the current state of the paint after the reset wash and also everything that I'll be using in today's video. Let's start off with the hood. I'd say that this area pretty much is in good condition. For those of you that know, I've only tracked this car once, so I don't expect it to be pretty bad or as bad as the Shelby or the Camaro. I've only taken it twice to a half-mile event, and I mean, this is the result. It's pretty good for what it is, and it does have minor areas of concern like towards here. Now that I could have probably taken it off with the mitt while washing it, I just didn't do that. I didn't scrub too hard just because I knew I was going to be doing this. Now it does have kind of some areas like that throughout the hood, but for the most part, I'd say that this is pretty good. Now let me show you an area of my car that is probably not going to be a surprise to any of you, which of course it is from doing burnout. So I have rubber here all over the paint. So I have pieces pretty much scattered everywhere along here, and this is the same for both sides. So these are all of my tools that I'll be using, at least to start off with. So first I have my clay block, and this is from Nanoskin, as well as their lubricant. Now they do advise if you're using a clay block, you do have to dilute the solution, so it's 7:1 here. So this is what I'll be spraying on the surface before going in with the clay block, and you can also spray it on the clay block as well. Now I have microfiber towels, I have my gloves, and I also have this light right here. So this one is from Astro Tools. This is the light that I was using right now to show you the state of the paint, and they actually did send me a whole lot of tools, which is right there in that box. I just haven't gotten around to using a lot of them, but those will mostly be used for the Toyota Camry. So with that being said, let's get started now. Okay, so here I go. This is the first step for the thorough detail. So I'm going to be starting off in small sections. So here I am spraying Glide and then going in with the clay block. So I'm starting off horizontally, then vertically, and then drying it off with the microfiber towel. But as you can see, I did get a bit confused with the orientation just because it was new to me. But good thing is that halfway throughout the car, I got the hang of it. So like I mentioned before, I did start with small sections just to try it out. But as I got more comfortable, I started to increase the section size. So when I got to this area, I honestly thought that the clay block was going to remove the rubber from the paint, but it didn't. So I started thinking, what am I going to use to be able to remove this after this fail? All right, so 5 hours later, I'm done. I'm just kidding. It did take long, but not that long. Let me just show you now the condition of the paint. It's not going to be perfect, but I think it is a lot better. I still have like a few spots that, I mean, of course, it's just not going to be perfect with me getting every little thing, but that's why the polishing is next. So I'll aim to get all of those spots next, but I think overall it's pretty good. I'd say that at first I started kind of a little bit iffy. I was kind of like either spraying too much or spraying too little. But then as I got the hang of it, I mean, I had a lot of car to get the hang of it. So I did get pretty comfortable. And I think overall it's pretty easy. It's just time consuming. You do have to be very careful, or you do have to make sure that you get every single spot. This car is just easy because there's not that many angles. The easiest part was probably the trunk, just because it's completely flat. It's not like the hood or the bumper or at least the side fenders. And I did have to use these ramps to get up and be able to reach the roof. So this area here bumper, the back bumper that I was mostly concerned about. So when I went in with the clay block, nothing happened. I mean, you guys saw that on camera. Nothing went away, and I was like, well, I honestly thought that was going to work, but it didn't. I just ended up using a little bit of Glue Gun and it's gone. So I'm glad that I finally got to fix that. So here goes step number 2, polishing. This is the step that I'm dreading the most out of all of this, but it must be done before we get to the fun part of ceramic coating. So I'm dreading this because not only do I have to be really careful and hopefully I don't mess up the paint, hopefully everything goes well, but also because I think this is going to be even more time consuming than using the clay block. So this is a Torque dual action polisher, and this is Chris's, and this is brand new. So believe it or not, he bought this back in 2017. Matter of fact, you can see the box there. Just opening it now, you can see all of the pads. The reason he ended up getting this is because he's never polished the car before, but he was going to try and polish his M3. So that was gonna be the first time. He never ended up getting around to it, but so this is the first time that I'll be using this polisher, so wish me luck, guys. And I'll also be using this white pad. Now white, well, because reading through all of these, the white is a light polishing pad, and as you guys have seen, the paint in this red eye is, I mean, it's not in bad condition, it's in pretty good condition, so that's why I'm using the light polishing pad. And I'm also using this conditioner, and then I'm also using this scratch and swirl remover. So I'll be using about 5 to 6 drops of this on the pad, and then before going in with the pad on the car, I'll be spraying about 2 sprays of this on the pad, and this is just for lubrication. So let's see how this goes. I'm a little bit nervous, but this step has to be done. So I'll continue talking to you guys as I'm polishing. So let's go. So here I go with the second step, that's polishing. So I'm starting off in small sections because I don't know what I'm doing. I may look confident, but inside I'm kind of nervous that I'm going to mess this up. So getting back to the small sections, I started first spreading the product manually with the polisher. Once it was spread, I set the polisher to the lowest setting and I went fast across the section just so I can get the whole product spread evenly. Then after that, I went back on the polisher and set it to the fastest setting and started polishing slowly. So just like with the clay block, you can see that I got my orientations messed up at first because I was a bit confused, but same thing, halfway throughout the car, I was finally confident and I got the hang of it. The only thing is that I don't know why these blue particles kept flying everywhere. I mean, it was harmless, but it was just a bit annoying. So one thing that I didn't anticipate being so challenging was polishing the bumper, because at this point I'm polishing upright and the polisher does have a little bit of weight to it. I also have to be applying some pressure, so my arm was aching a little bit, and the same thing applies for the sides of the car. So I did have to take some breaks throughout this process, but I made it through. Finally done polishing the car, and you know, I'm not gonna lie, this time it actually did take 5 hours. Like, no kidding, that took an extraordinary long time to do. So I'm so glad that I'm finished with that step. And just like when I went in with the clay block, at first I kind of didn't have the right rhythm, so I was either applying a little bit of product, I wasn't applying the right amount of pressure or too much pressure. But since this is a lot of car and you have plenty of space to work on, so as I was making myself around the car, then I finally got the hang of it. I got the rhythm, and I was able to eventually figure out how much product to put it on certain areas. I was able to determine the right amount of pressure to the pad, the force. So it is complete and I couldn't be happier. So you guys remember when I said that this was going to be a great first car to learn how to prep in order to ceramic coat it? You know, I think I take that back just because this is too big of a car. like way too big. I did not even know this was gonna take this long. But either way, now we can move on to the second most important step of this entire process, which is the third phase of it. Now this is really easy. All we have to do now is either use IPA, or in this case, I'll be using this wipeout spray. And what this does is pretty much the same thing as the reset wash. So this is going to remove any sealants, any polishing products, any waxes. So any product that the paint has, we're going to remove that and take that off, because if we don't, then the ceramic coating won't bond as well, it won't stick. So we want that completely off. This is very easy. All we have to do is spray the entire car and then just wipe it off. So once again, I'm going to do this to the entire car, and then once I'm done with that, which that's not going to take as long as last two steps, I can start on the most awaited step of all, which is ceramic coating. Easiest and fastest step now, which is just applying wipeout and then drying it off with a microfiber towel. Now I did do this twice on the car because I wanted to make sure that everything was off the paint, and that the ceramic coating is not going to work right. And let me add that it does smell pretty good. Okay, so it's the next day. I don't know who I was kidding, thinking that I was gonna get all of that done in one day. By the time that I finished, it was 2 a.m. and my arms just told me, you know what? It's time to call it quits. So now everything is taken care of. The paint is reset. There's no product on the paint, and it's time for the best step, the step that I've been looking forward to, the step that makes all of this worth it, which is ceramic coating. So now let's open up the AVALONKING Armor Shield 9 box and see what's in there. So here's everything that comes in the AVALONKING Armor Shield 9 box. Now, before I go over everything, I have to say that this is really nice packaging. I'm really impressed. I really do like the colors. I mean, it's very aesthetic and pleasing, especially this bottle right here where the ceramic coating is. I really do like it. But now let me go over everything that comes inside the box. So first we have the instructions. We have a microfiber towel. We have some gloves, some cloth. We have the sponge. And then in this bottle, we have the ceramic coating. Now let me just give you a brief overview on how to apply this, which is very simple. So you're just going to take one of these cloths and then you're going to wrap it on the sponge. Make sure you wrap it here on the soft side. You can see there's a difference. So the logo is on the harder side and then on the soft side. So that's where you want to wrap the cloth. And then you're going to use 5 to 10 drops of the ceramic coating and then make sure you have it in the center. Now, why do I say 5 to 10 drops? Well, because it depends on the area or the section of the car that you're going to be working on. So depends if it's smaller or larger. So that's why the range for 5 to 10 drops. Then after that, you obviously are going to work in sections just like I've been doing with everything up until this point. So first you want to start off by applying this horizontally. Once you put this sponge on the car, on the surface, you can't lift it. So until you're done with that area, you want to make sure you go horizontally and you don't lift it, and then you have to go vertically. So again, without lifting it, you go vertically. And the reason we're going horizontally and then vertically is so we don't miss a spot. All that, you want to make sure that you don't lift the sponge. Then after that, you let it sit for between 1 to 5 minutes. That really just depends on the temperature that it is. And then after that, you're gonna lightly buff it out with a microfiber towel, and then you move on to the next section. And now on to the most rewarding process, which is ceramic coating. Now this is going to make all your prep work, everything you did before, worth it. So I already outlined the steps. It's pretty easy. And just like with the clay block and the polishing, I'm starting off in small sections until I feel comfortable to work in larger sections. So the only thing it doesn't show here is that I'm waiting 1 to 2 minutes, depending on how big or small the section is, to then buff it off with a microfiber towel. So remember when I said that it's very important to not remove the sponge from the surface? Well, on a bumper like this, it's almost impossible. So I'd say remove it only if you need to. Finally done with the ceramic coating, and look at this, the car already looks 10 times better. I have to say that this was very easy, at least when it comes to the ceramic coat. I think anyone can do this. All you need to do is have time, is have patience. I have to admit that at first I was a little bit nervous because I was a little bit out of my rhythm. I didn't want to mess up. I didn't want to miss a spot. So when I was going horizontally then vertically, it was kind of like nervous. But of course, since this is a huge car, I did get plenty of room, and by the end of it I was a lot better. I was completely confident in this. But let's see. Let's see now. I have to let it cure between 24 to 48 hours, and then we'll see how it looks after that. But look at this, it already looks very shiny and reflective. I am so in love with this. This was completely worth it. So like I said, I feel that anyone can do this. It's very easy to apply. You just really need to have time and a lot of patience for this, because it does take a lot out of that. And in reality, with this specific ceramic coating with the Armor Shield 9 by AVALONKING, you don't really have to do everything that I did, meaning you don't have to clay bar or clay block, you don't have to polish. There is another way. Matter of fact, it shows it in the instructions. There is an alternative way, which is an easier way, which is just washing and then just the IPA, and then you can get to ceramic coating. But I would only recommend that if your paint is already good, like mine for example. I could have probably just not done all of those steps, but the reason that I did it is because honestly it doesn't hurt to use the clay bar or clay block and polish it, and also because I really didn't want to go through the entire process, and because I do plan on ceramic coating the Camaro, so I will be using the same product, and this one definitely needs some polishing since it's been driven a lot more, it's been tracked. So let's see, now I feel a lot more comfortable with this. And if you guys are interested in this product, if you guys are interested in ceramic coating with the AVALONKING, I do have a discount code. It gets you $25 off their Armor Shield 9. The code is Doris25. I'll have it here up on the screen, and I'll have all of the details and the links in the description down below. I'm so excited. Now I am going to let this cure. They say that it's between 24 to 48 hours. I'm going to wait 24 hours, and then I'll insert a clip here of how it looks tomorrow after 24 hours out in the sun. I can't wait for that. It's going to look fantastic. I already know, so I'll let you guys see it here. I am very excited, so glad that I did this. This was my first time with this reset wash, a thorough detail, but it wasn't bad at all. It just, like I said, a lot of time, a lot of patience, but I enjoyed it. It was very interesting, and I'm very glad that I learned this. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.